Here are 6 proposed studies for investigating the question of the day. Suppose that each of the proposed studies we found the mean GPA of the students who listened to the music is significantly higher than the mean GPA students who didn't listen to music. What conclusion can we make? Okay, so this is talking about like your finalized, what is the conclusion after you ran the study? 2 important pieces to this is random sampling. And sorry, that's sideways, but it just makes it easier. And random assignments. Okay, and we're going to make a column of whether or not it was a random sample or whether or not it was a random assignment. Okay, so the conclusion for this first one, get all the students in your statistics class to participate in a study. Ask them whether or not they study with music on and divide them into 2 groups based on their answers to this question. So my first question to you, is this a random sample? No, okay, because it's all the kiddos are in your class, right? And did we randomly assign anybody anything? Nope. Okay, so the conclusion statement for this is, for the students in this study, there is an association, and that's going to be a really important word, an association between whether music while studying increases, I'm going to put a little arrow, GPA. Okay, so the word association is going to be used when it's a random it's not a random sample, it's not a random assignment. Okay, on number 2 it says select a random sample of seniors from your school to participate in a study. Ask them whether or not they study with music on and divide them into 2 groups based on their answer to this question. So first question is it a random sample? Yes. Okay. Is it a random assignment? No. They don't talk about numbering people and pulling a number out of the hat or anything like that. So our conclusion is going to be, for the seniors in this school, there is an association between whether music while studying increases GPA. And those little quotations, it's this stuff, because we're just going to repeat that. Okay, if you want to write it out, that's fine. Number 3 says select a random sample of students from your school to participate in a study. Ask them whether or not they study with music on and divide them into 2 groups based on their answer to the question. So first question is it a random sample? And did we randomly assign? Okay, so the conclusion statement for this is, for the students in this school, there is an association between listening to music while studying increases GPA. Do you notice how the difference between 2 and 3 is only your sample? Because they pulled a random sample from here, but it was from this, like the total population. In number 2, they just pulled a random sample from just the seniors. Okay, so when you make your conclusion statement, you have to focus on who you're talking about. If you don't include that, you're not actually saying a conclusion. Okay, you have to be really specific, because it might be different for this school than it would be for another school. Okay, on number 4, it says to get all of the students in your statistics class to participate in a study. Randomly assign half of the students to listen to music while studying for the entire semester and have the remaining half abstain from listening to music while studying. Okay, so first question, is it a random sample? No, it's not. Okay, it's it's getting all of your students in your stat class, right? But it is randomly assigned though, right? Okay. So when you write this out, you're going to say for this study, or for the students in this study, sorry, for the students in this study, listening to music while studying, and this is the important word, causes GPA to increase. Okay, so notice how for the past 3, we've had no for random assignment, but the moment that we have a random assignment happen, now it's in a cause and effect type deal. Okay, so random sampling makes us have an association. Random assignment means, hey, there's actually a cause. All right. All right, so on number 5, is it a random sample? Yeah. Okay. Is it a random assignment? Yes. Okay, notice how they like explicitly say it, right? Okay, so when you're writing out your experiment or your study, if you ever have to create one, you have to explicitly say whether or not you're doing a random sample or assignment, okay? And so this one says, random sample of seniors from your school to participate in a study. Randomly assign half of the students to listen to music while studying for the entire semester, and having the remaining half abstain from listening to music while studying. So the conclusion statement for this one, and check yours, is for the seniors in the school, and you can't just say the kiddos in this study every single time. You've got to be specific, okay? Listening to music while studying causes GPA to increase. All right, notice how I said for the seniors and causes, okay? On number 6, is it a random sample? Yes. Is it randomly assigned? Yes. And they're talking about the students from the school, right? So we're going to say for students in the school, listening to music while studying causes GPA to increase. Again, causes, and you have to be specific on who you're talking about. Okay? So the 2 main things that I want you to know right now, and then we're going to flip to the back page in just 1 second, is that, and I would write this down at the bottom, random sample is so we can generalize to the population from which the sample was selected. So here it is again. Random sample is so we can generalize to the population from which the sample was selected. So if I take a random sample of the seniors, then I can talk about all of the seniors, right? If I take a random sample of all of the students in the school, then I can generalize a statement about the students that are in the school. Okay? If I don't do that, then I can't say, hey, everybody who's a senior does this, or everybody in the school does this. A random assignment is so that we can have, we can show causation. Okay, so the moment that we have a random assignment, we can say this causes this to happen. Okay, so random assignments are a good thing so that we can say that, hey, I can listen to music while studying and it increases my GPA. It's pretty dope, right? So the big ideas from these, the first one, this is talking about inference. Okay, so we can infer about a general population based off of these results. Okay, so we had random sample, and that was enabling us to generalize to the whole population. And then we also had random assignment, which allows us to make cause and effect conclusions. Okay. And then we're going to talk about this a little bit more later, but data ethics is also something to think about. Okay. So the first thing with data ethics that we've got is this institutional review. And 2, informed consent. And 3, that it's confidential. Okay, so those are the big ideas asked about this. So with confidential and informed consent, they were like, what does that necessarily have to do with experiments? There are actually some experiments that people run. For instance, they'll get a group of people who have skin cancer, and they say, hey, we have a miracle drug, right? And we want you to test out this miracle drug. And let's say that they break them up into experiments. Well, you have to randomly assign somebody who has cancer to be either the placebo, which means that they don't get the drug that they think they're going to get, right? Or they do get the drug and they might have side effects. Okay, so some of this stuff kind of seems unethical, but you've got to make sure that the people know what they're getting into before they try it. Because, I mean, depending on their level of cancer, you know, they might feel hopeless and they might try anything, you know, but you could put them at more of a risk. So you definitely have to get their signature for that kind of stuff. You also have to keep things confidential. Like, you can't tell somebody, hey, these group of people have cancer. You can't disclose that information. That's a HIPAA violation. Okay. You also have to submit to like a board in order to run those type of experiments. So you've got to make sure that you get the higher ups okay before you run any kind of unethical experiment. For instance, if I told you you had to listen to music while you were studying to determine whether or not your GPA was going to increase, well, I'm messing with your GPA potentially, right? Now, hopefully it's going to increase, but that could be detrimental to your GPA, which could be detrimental to your future. So depending on how you phrase it, could be unethical, okay? So just something to think about.